Got
Oh,
it. I have a
oh my
question.
God. I'm
I have a
getting
question
better at
for our
this.
musician.
What is your question for our musician, Youssef Alaoui?
How do we how do we pronounce the name of your project? And can you tell us about the origins of the name of your project as well?
Yes. Um, it's pronounced twos. It's a word that I'm still learning about. That's partly why I chose it. I ran across the word in a book, and it's the Hungarian word for fire. And my project, twos, um, is very much about using music to facilitate my own evolution. And I feel that sometimes you need to start with this clean slate, and fire can be a great tool to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that backdrop. All right, or that background explanation. I'm going to just do a quick introduction for our musical guest here. Ashley, I'm not even, I feel like I could pronounce Tus easily enough. It's your last name I always have. Is it Makachor? Is that the correct way?
Makachor, yeah.
Ashley Makachor. So people should know that Ashley Makachor is one half of the hard rocking duo Oddly Even. And I got to tell you, Oddly Even's one of my favorite bands. That's her band with their partner Cal Sturgis, and they both and it's great because they have the band, they have the duo band, but they also have their own stuff. There's Cal now. Hey, buddy, good to see you. Good to see
You
both.
too.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite bands. I call them. Some of you might remember a band from Boston called Morphine with a real stripped down swinging sound, and these guys kind of remind me of an even more stripped down version of Morphine, with a heavy bass and drum and kind of but rocking with that blues progression and those kind of chant and with these some dirge style chants, and it's just it really suits my style, and I love what they do. But I love that they've got the kind of thing where they've got their own projects going on, right? Why wouldn't you? A lot of us writers do the same thing, absolutely. So I am just really excited that this project that you guys are here with us today, opening for Collapse Press. And I am going to, I don't mean to suggest that Tus is going to sound anything like Morphine. That's not at all what I mean to suggest. But just to give you an idea of what the background and how wonderful these musicians are. So with no further ado, I am going to turn it over to Tus for our musical segment. And everybody, unmute yourselves for a moment and let's give Ashley and her project Tus a big hand. And then let's kindly mute ourselves so we can hear.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. And this is my very first Zoom musician presentation type thing, so I'm gonna do my best. And I'm sure you all know that music doesn't always transfer very well in this medium, but nonetheless. This first song is called Where. So much fear all around. Where do I find Thank you. This next song is a new song, and it's called Beyond Straight Lines. There's nothing you must do, no need to prove. It's enough to sit in the sun, shadows falling, clouds conversing like whales in the sea. It's enough to wonder. This is your place to be. I try to understand, see through amber fog, maneuver through thorns, branches and vines. It's not easy to be, but really what else is there? Let's see. Time will wait, hold you close, cradle your wishes, filter your dreams, until time and a slight shifting light shows you where to be, beyond straight lines. It's not easy to be, but really what else is there? Let's see. It's not easy to be, but really what else is there? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Thank you. I have one more song. Thank you again for having me, and Youssef for inviting me to play. This last song is called When Another Sun Shines. I wrote the song with my brother. We are not a world apart. We are not in the dark. Worries spin around in your head like a friend swordfish. We are not a world apart. We are not in the dark. You'll see when another sun shines. When another sun shines. When another sun shines. Thank you.
Ashley, thank you so much. That was so gorgeous and so on it. If everybody can please unmute themselves, and let's give Ashley a big, big hand from the group.
Yeah.
Hey,
Love
Beautiful.
that. Love.
bravo,
Thank you so
bravo.
much.
That was amazing. And just real quick, did you have any last words for us there, Ashley, before we move along for the housekeeping details?
Just thank you. Thank you for what you guys do. Thank you for the energy and authenticity you put into projects like this. I appreciate it, and I know other people do too. So thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And one more time, I am going to put that link to their to a great spot to download Two's music in the chat screen, and that's right there at Bandcamp, at Two's Music, bandcamp.com. And I will do a couple of other housekeeping details for the Beast here. We are raising money all throughout the festival. We're going to be on doing our fundraiser because the goal is to pay our readers as we try to manifest that type of support and that type of good faith for the artists who contribute to this festival going into 2022. So while we are very close, we're awaiting word on whether or not we're going to get fiscal sponsorship status, and that we have a group that we've partnered with, and we know that that's going to happen. In the meantime, we are doing a GoFundMe, and there's the link to these GoFundMe in the chat screen, so people can check out. And donations of over $25 do get you a T-shirt, and we'll mail that out to you. Just so that people know, for those of you who have supported us generously already, thank you so much. And I hope you're enjoying their shirts. And if you haven't gotten a shirt yet, you're going to get a shirt. Those are on the way. So thank you so much for that. And then just a real quick word to let folks know that after we have, this is our second to last reading for this this particular aspect of the beast for today. And closing us out this evening is going to be Moondrop Productions, who are also making their Beast Crawl debut. And we're so very happy about that. And just so that folks know, and I will go ahead and put their link into the chat screen as well for their show coming up after this one ends. And just important to know that a Knowledge Bone, the hip hop act Knowledge Bone, is going to be the musical act that follows that follows this reading, but precedes Moondrop Productions reading. And there is the Zoom link for the reading that follows this one, just so folks get that on hand and ready to go. I'm going to do that, and I'll just mention real quickly that I'm very stoked to be presenting the Collapse Press lineup. Karen Lillis, Steve Goldberg, Darrell, Parry, Richard Loranger, and Youssef Alaoui all performing for us tonight. And I will, that's the end of my housekeeping spiel. I will turn it over to Elin Alexander, my partner in crime in propagating letters for the end times through Collapse Press. And I will have Lynn say her a little bit about what we're doing here. And I think she's going to introduce our first reader too. So take it away, Lynn.
Thank you. I like that, propagating. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support for our readers. The readers that we asked are people who have we love a lot of people, but they have a special place in our heart. They are people who are not just talented poets, but also, have been part of Beast or part of different events that we've done. They have a place in our heart. So I just wanted to say that so we're honored that they're here for our first collapse at Beast. So the first person, Karen Lillis, she's one of those people who I feel like I go way back with, in the independent press, and just an amazing person, supporter of independent books, supporter of independent everything. So Karen's a bookseller and author of 4 novellas, including Watch the Doors as They Close. She also writes at the intersection of poetry and prose, and she runs Karen's Book Row, and a book, which is a bookshop based in Pittsburgh and focused on feminist fiction. Sorry. We're gonna have Karen start, and the order is going to be Karen, Steve, Darrell, Richard, and Youssef. So just so you know what to expect coming up. So we're gonna get started with Karen, and we're just honored to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Lynn and Paul, so much. I've really enjoyed, you guys have really sustained me throughout the pandemic with the Lehigh Valley Poetry Salon, and it was so great to see Lynn and Darrell in Easton recently. I got to go there in July. So thanks so much. And I'm going to be reading 2 poems from my Friend Poems series. The first one is called Poem for Julian Poirier. I was feeling stuck in my skin, so I decided to redecorate. If the place could have the air of a shipwrecked sailor's hotel, then at least I could recall that it's also gloriously temporary. I started by purchasing a complete set of bed bugs down at the local bait and switch shop. The gap-toothed proprietor grinned as he spiked another gummy worm onto a hook and said, "Don't be afraid to throw it all back." Came home, took everything off the walls, moved a small TV set from the cellar corner to the dresser top, and found an episode of Ironside to keep me company. Went through my sock drawer and placed most of the contents in the bin for the chambermaid. Unraveled aspirations, threadbare regrets. Gave all the clothes I wouldn't parade down Vallejo Street to the Sisters of St. Vincent de Paul. Told the cats they'd have to haunt the alley from now on, and I'd meet them at the windowsill with tinned tuna and packets of neglected breadcrumbs and gravy. I kept looking around with unforgiving eyes. Under the bed boxes were found to be taking valuable space away from the cobwebs of the next decade. The curtains were hideous. That window dressing wasn't fit for a flophouse. Sacks of rotting laundry made way for the faithful luggage rack. There used to be a Gideon's Bible here somewhere, but I swapped it for a tarot deck. Now the cranky concierge has come in to rescue his handkerchief before he resettles himself at the front desk. Keep the despair to a whisper near the lobby after 10 p.m. You'll find him asleep in his easy chair. Tiptoe to the toilet in the mornings if you want to stay in good graces with the fortune teller down the hall. Forward all my robocalls to the Jagoff in room 314. I'm busy burning sage for dream time. This next one is poem from Mike Decapite. In the dream, I bumped into you in New Orleans. No surprise, we'd both gravitated to the dilapidated luncheonette that looked like it belonged on Market Street or Great Jones. In this listing city, it was maybe 3 months from melting into moss or collapsing into the canal, maybe 2. Stuffing was poking out of the booths and the menus were stained with drops of roux, but the ceiling blades got the air out of your way and the countertops were spotless. The old cashier waved me in without a breath. Everything is weather, you said, by way of a greeting. Your father's rejection, your writer's affliction, the walk to your bus stop, your sour stomach. You took a sip of cold cafe au lait. Even a hurricane is weather. You weren't interested in patronizing me, only in catching the waitress's attention for a hot top off. Everything blows through, stays a while. Everything moves out to sea. You were no one's Svengali, more like an editor on vacation from the sound of other people's cliches. I used to chase chaos. Now I can dig a home in any moment, especially alone. Once the waitress was on the far side of her French donuts again, nothing could come between you and your red notebook. Tip the hat, hit the road, quit the scene. I wasn't sure what I was doing in New Orleans. I woke up before the dream made it clear. Maybe I was looking for Richard Hell in Pirates Alley. Maybe I was after my next sailor's hotel. Maybe I was following the scent of molasses along the Mississippi. Maybe I was looking up my fan club of 3 in Faubourg Marigny. Maybe I was speeding to a familiar transfer point, a well-worn terminus. In days that have long rolled by, I'd lay down with an electric fan and spout the train stops on the Crescent Line like they were raindrops or rosary beads. Picayune, Slidell, City of New Orleans, anything for a little locomotion. In those Virginia years, a sweltering boredom was the mother of all creation. Crawling out of my skin, running until the train ran out of track, writing until the pen ran out of black blood, riding until the night ran out of darkness and into someone else's open window. I was never clever enough to escape the humid spaces. You'd been living down the stairs in the Garden District, staying in a pink house with red walls among the blue bloods. I dreamt you had a rooming house madam named Rose. If I sleep enough, I have lots of dreams. Last night I dreamt I was in a Delaware bus station with a beggar asking for my hand and the loudspeaker repeating, "Last train to Lisbon, last train to Lisbon." Rose's place was filled with bright statuary of her own making, fake flowers and Greek icons and thickly painted saints and goddesses. When she wasn't pruning her home, Rose was blooming herself. She ditched Ohio with an eerie iceberg stuck in her throat, only to become the banshee of Lake Pontchartrain. Cleveland was a fist in a front pocket, but New Orleans is an open mouth, an endless chorus. She shrieked at piano bars or crooned in punk quartets, Whoever would feed her, usually wings or fingers, and give her a stage 5 nights a week. She worked the phones and sweet-talked the tavern keepers and bawled the busboys and tipped out the symbolists and wasn't afraid to spit gravel from Houston to St. Bernard Parish. It barely covers the bills, but it's a living, she told me after the Delacroix show. The rigor mortis bag was fucking killing me, man. Just because Rose had barreled south down the interstate and you'd hitchhiked here by way of London and Mexico City didn't mean you had nothing in common. Truth be told, you'd known Rose in Tremont when she was still underground, when she was a song not yet sung. Jesus, friends don't care about that sort of thing. Friends got x-ray specs, friends have ESP. You could read between the lines. You could see the tea leaves on the wall. Your friend Rose was much more than the sum of her Cuyahoga neuroses. She was also her own immaculate conception, her own Botticelli rebirth, the still waters, the runaway daughter, the sweet tone of her own someday Gulf Shore glamour trip. Thank you.
Woohoo! Everybody applause for Karen Lillis. Lots of great lines there, and really nice to have you joining us. This is your first Beast Crawl, is that not correct, Karen?
It's true. It's true. I'm
it's
happy
so
to be
good.
here.
It's overdue, and happy to have. Eventually,
Thank you.
all good things come around, right? All the things that we didn't get, but then they come around. They eventually come around. That's
right.
The Beast Crawl is where we kind of make that happen in one way or another, and I always appreciate that. So, and it's funny, the wide range of places that you talked about and the traveling. And one of the places you mentioned was Tremont. And that's funny because Tremont leads us quite naturally into our next performer who, wait a minute, before I get to that guy, before I get to that next performer, let me just say, we are Collapse Press. And there's a link to our website in the chat screen if you want to check in a little bit more to the mission statement about Letters of the End Times. And it gives you an idea of some of the titles we have, some of the hints of the titles we have coming out, not entirely fixed in stone, but let me move on to that note I was making about Tremont. Not too long after the very first Beast Crawl that we had in 2012, some guy named Steve Goldberg came to that crawl and put one together for the Tremont neighborhood of Cleveland and invited lots of us in California to come out. And lots of us in California did go to Cleveland and do that crawl. I believe it was March or April of 2013. And it was, and Steve has never done that since. But let me tell you a little bit about the man who put that together. Steve Goldberg has been part of the Cleveland poetry scene for longer than anyone expected. He has been published in many of Cleveland's small press zines and is included in the book Cleveland Poetry Scenes, a panorama and anthology from Bottom Dog Press, and the coffee table book Hotel Poem, Poets of Cleveland, language out of the Language Foundry. As a poetry event organizer, Steve led the legendary Literary Cafe reading series for 4 years, the bombastic Metrical Singularity Supernova Festival, and Broken Pulpit Poetry Weekend, and of course the Tremont Poetry Crawl in Cleveland. He has read all across the country and has participated in poetry festivals such as Kansas City's Unregulated Word, Oakland's Beast Crawl, the Tremont Art and Cultural Festival, and has been the MC for a Rainy Day in Seattle Poetry Festival. Hey, that's one I've been to, the Rainy Day in Seattle. That's a good one. I think Ryan might be in the room too, the great organizer of that festival. Steve has written chapbooks, Corner Cafe, Drugstore, and Other Poems from Inkstained Dagger Press, and sold out in its third printing Tremont Crawl, What's in the Bag Press. His full-length book, History is an Afterthought, from Spartan Press, is due out in October. He is one of the most beautiful messes we have in this beautiful, beautiful small press scene. Everybody, please give a huge hand for the one, the only Steve Goldberg.
Oh, thank you so much. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. And we can see you.
Okay. You can see me in the basement of this backyard concert crap that we do in Cleveland. Karen, thanks so much for that thing with Mike DeCapity, good friend, actually the one that introduced me to you. Yeah, All right, let's get to it then. I won't be able to participate in the open mic tomorrow for Jay, the last beast. Jay and I talked a lot at the Telegraph. There's a nice picture by the selfie queen, Cassie, with us together. And that picture basically brought up this poem, which I call For Jay. This was the last time I saw Jay, which was the last time I was in Oakland. At the time, I knew I would be back in Oakland someday. In the same way, I thought I would see Jay someday. More than ever, I wish this was a time I wasn't wrong. So I wasn't able to write for a while while my dad was sick and then passed on. Just a lot of mixed emotions. And then suddenly it sort of kind of came together during this whole pandemic thing. And unfortunately, it became something that I started writing more political based things. So I figure I would touch a little bit on it just because I'm just happy that I'm writing again, just to get that out. This one's called The Naked Emperor. The emperor is sick, not the sick that was suspected from the start, not the sick that had him bounding around naked and proclaiming the magnificence of his clothes, the brilliance of his thoughts, the infallibility of his instinct, the divinity of his presence. No, he is sick with the sick that he said didn't exist, sick with the sick that was a hoax, sick with the sick that only affected the weak, sick with the sick that ignores children, sick with the sick that didn't kill, but was blamed for the pre-existing condition, sick with the sick that wasn't his fault. If he wheezes, if he actually has to do something just to breathe, if he realizes that he can't fire his lungs or cheat his heart to beat in rhythm, will he see the sick in the mirror of his faults? If he can't, then can we? Can we wish the obliteration of the sick without the amputation of the patient? Can we have a vaccine to prevent the sick from attacking and not have side effects too harsh to endure? Can we abandon the empire, abandon the colonization, abandon the need for dominance, the extremism? Can we forsake the gerrymander, the hoarding, the lies, the ego, the shootings? Can we embrace the cooperation, understanding, and truth? Embrace acceptance, tolerance, and forgiveness? Is it so impossible that we can start with the emperor? Can we wish him recovery? Then can we wrap him up and get rid of him so he does no more damage to us and himself? Then finally, we can heal and try to live to the ideals so impossible, made by flawed and tarnished men from so long ago, men who knew they could not make it to the heights of those ideals themselves, but hoped generations after them could, only if those generations so choose. Can we? So, after the passing of my dad, I found myself being the guilty Jewish son of the Jewish mother. So I talked to her more. And of course, she takes advantage of that to give advice, as Jewish mothers do. No, Ma, I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to drink anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to dream anything, to care about anything, to be anything. I'll just sit in this chair and stare out of the window, watch the world destroy itself, masked like bandits, and filling Alibaba's cave with toilet paper, pointing fingers at others for encroaching on the 6-foot wide invisible walls that were always there, but never acknowledged. Grabbing for the free money as if Amazon is COD before it runs out. Yeah, I'll sit here in silence, watching the rerun of the apocalypse like the one in the snow globe of my mind. So out of the COVID mess, I did end up getting laid off from my job just in June. I was kind of happy about it because I hated that job, but it all worked out as I started the new job this week. And you know something, I don't like working. I'll just put that out there. So this is one during the final weeks of that. No escape. I lie in bed past alarms because who the hell cares? At work, no one notices who is there when they're there. They don't do anything, but they're busy. I'm not busy. I'm not doing anything except checking the direct deposit is banked at the end of the week. Good thing no patients, no doctors are expecting our no product, which I think is paper and boredom. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. So in the mind numbing work, which I'm sure we've all done of trying to find another job, we just get our hearts beaten. Here's one that I just had to rant. It actually sent me into a depressive mode for over a week where I couldn't do shit. I ended up eating a lot of turkey for the dopamine and, well, drinking a lot. It was an excuse for drinking a lot. I still drink a lot. It started with a clueless recruiter. She inexplicably forwarded the response from her client. It said, "We have no interest in this candidate at all." Emphasis is by my sensitive ego. It raises the question, why? Why did the client feel the need to be so expressive in their disinterest in a rather unbusinesslike manner to a third party on a business matter? Why did the recruiter feel the need to let me know that I'm so distasteful to this client? In these days of automaton processing of personal information that go on and get on with it, the emotions have no place in the workspace space. Did this anomaly have to happen? Would it be more simple if the client said, "No, thank you, this client just doesn't seem to fit," or the client or the recruiter just pass on, "The client was not interested. No need to make me or any other job-seeking person already at a heightened state of anxiety, looking out into the fog-filled future, wondering if land is near in this endless ocean, or if rocks will sink the leaky boat, or no end to the repetitive torture, the seeking, the convincing, the preening, the rejection, the inattention, the indifference, and then restart with the repeat and the cyclic Kafkaesque doldrums of irresolute monotony, only to starve, be homeless, friendless, then dead. A no thank you, good luck with your search would maybe not make a big difference in outcome, but it wouldn't rush the worst case either. So of course, when you go through this stuff, some places just want like everything about you. I had one, this is basically a shard, I guess, of a poem. I'm not really sure what to do with it. It's just called Sweating It. Just throw out 2 to 3 paragraphs on this open-ended topic as part of your job application. Don't sweat it. This, to a poet or hobbyist writer, which usually is the same thing, is the starting pistol of an agonizing race against time. Even if the job is technical in nature, a writer that must have the day job doesn't have the confidence to whip one out. The subtext is that we are going to judge you on what you write. It must be clear. It must be concise. It must conform to our interpretations of grammatical, spellological, and formal language. It also, and most importantly, conform to our opinion of correct opinion, of which we are not telling you what that is. Worse than the gut churn of rejection from a publisher of a book, anthology, magazine, chapbook, mimeozine, e-zine, or an artsy blog that's desperate for content. A rejection for a potential employer is a hard punch. Both are from people we don't give a shit about, that the power on our future is well undeserved. Okay, is everybody depressed enough? All right, I got two more, a little bit more update. This is a recent one. It's just somebody in the neighborhood or in Cleveland that just seems to be so sweet. It's called Dakini for Michelle. Without beckoning, a smile appears on my face. A joy leaps into my soul in your presence. You seem always happy to see just me. Are you an angel sent to keep me from myself? Or a Dakini manifest to chase the worst of self-destruction away? You come carrying your own Mandela, allowing entrance to a home made of your spirit. And with fading rhythmic drumbeat, you fly off, leaving hope and cheer and possibility. Did you remember to take my thanks with you this time? She plays in a number of percussion bands. Heck of a drummer. Very much strange, obviously. I think she likes me. So I'll finish up with this last one. It's called The Best. So evasive is the meaning of life. Philosophers and holy men have parlayed the question into essays, books, and hours-long discussions. Questions into questions, answers into questions, never questions into answers. It's a good gig and would go far with the right kind of marketing. And better still, with slick and subtle sales. The marketers and salesmen are pretty good. Excellent, in fact. With a bad product, nothing is wrong. Perhaps that is the answer, the meaning. No matter what we are dealt, good, bad, neutral, meaning is from finding the thing of which we are excellent. Thanks all, and I really wish I was with you all personally. I miss you all like you have no idea. I need my beasties. I really do. Thanks, everybody.
And the beasties need you, Steve. Thank you for that very heartfelt set. It's always super appreciated, my man.
It's my pleasure, believe me.
Thank you so
God,
much.
I want to hug all of you.
Free hugs, right?
Free hugs.
We miss
I
you.
get a
And
card.
you know what? We had good times in Tremont, Oakland, a lot of places. We go way back, and we will do it again. You know, we will all get together, and we will bring it back in person. We will do stuff again.
I'm getting so much from people who want another crawl, another Cleveland Poetry Festival, and they are putting the pressure on me to put it together. And I'm actually starting to listen a little bit. So we'll see what comes up.
Dig it.
Anyone can do it. You can do it. You could pull it off because you've done it before. And thank you so much for reading and for everything, for being part of this.
Yeah. Thanks for including me in this. You guys are the best.
So let's see. So speaking of, so next we have Darrell Parry, who, you know, is not far from me, and we have fireworks going on right now. So, you know, one of those things about Zoom. Darrell Parry is a writer, artist, and event organizer from Easton, Pennsylvania. He founded the online publication Stick Figure Poetry Quarterly and the monthly Stick Figure Poetry Open Mic. He also co-hosts Lehigh Valley Poetry's virtual salon with an amazing co-host, I have to say, which meets on Zoom the first Monday of every month. His alter ego works in higher education, not a professor, but as one of those reviled peddlers of unaffordable course materials. Believe it or not, he even sometimes sells poetry books. He absolutely does, and he does way more than that, and we're very honored and happy to have Darrell Parry.
All right. Thank you guys so much for including me in this and letting me help you wrangle the beast this year. I kind of thought that this was something that I would never get a chance to do because it's so close to like back to school and whatnot. I'm working like 24/7 for the past 2 weeks. So I'm just going to launch right into it. And I've got a mishmash of things sprinkled in as a few that some of you are probably really sick of hearing by this point, but here we go. The first one is called lines. People hate to wait in lines. They huff and sigh and tap their feet. Sometimes they even complain to a minimum wage earning subhuman who is only trying to push them through like mismatched pieces on an assembly line. It stands to reason that if people honestly hated to wait in lines, they wouldn't go shopping for things they didn't really need. But they do, and they do so in droves. Maybe subconsciously, people realize that what they are buying is not really worth waiting in line for. Or maybe they think, for one reason or another, as so many do, that they deserve to be ahead of everyone else. Do you think if there was a line to get into hell, people would still complain about having to wait in it? Or does Lucifer let the complainers skip straight to the front without them having to ask? The next one in the same vein or a similar vein, is called capitals. Why didn't I capitalize my name? Someone proposed self-esteem issues, but oh no. I see people capitalize their names all the time, as if they're better than other nouns. Maybe they can use more verbs, adverbs, and adjectives than the other guy. There's always some explanation, some excuse to make them feel bigger, better, more right. They capitalize themselves the way they capitalize God, while never thinking to put one of those nice long-legged letters on humanity, as if perhaps humanity should not rank above the individual. The difference is that between God and gods. People capitalize what they believe in, what is more real to them. Only those they hold close are ever real to their minds. The rest of the world's population is simply the crowds in a street scene of a movie, low-paid props to fill in the gaps in the scenery behind the important action that affects their lives. People capitalize themselves without even thinking about it. It comes naturally, feels right, and it's nothing worth challenging for any of those that faceless mass of others, right? Until perhaps you come to understand that each of those others is a god or goddess, the star of an exclusive private movie with a large, bold, capitalized title. This next one, I think I've only ever read once, so it's almost kind of new. It's called The Love I Feed. The love I feed is a gentle creature. It does not make demands or forceful requests. It seeks only to comfort, console, and add quality to the lives of those it feels affection for. The love I feed is a gentle, quiet creature. It does not speak or make itself seen. It doesn't make the heart flutter or keep anyone up at night or cause any skipping of meals. That kind of love is fleeting at best anyway. You see, the love I feed is a gentle, quiet, steadfast creature, complacent and complicit with the needs of the other. I have learned to be careful when allowing anyone to approach it. Once it chooses someone, its loyalty will not waver, and it affords them dangerous freedoms. So, if the love I feed makes eyes at you, begging for some table scraps, if I allow you close enough to feel its warmth and stroke its fur, go ahead, Toss it whatever you might be willing to share, but only if you're aware of the responsibility that that entails. Okay, the next one I read like every time, and it's because it's like my favorite one to read. It's called Bothering. I'm sitting here thinking about you, but I don't want to bother you with it because I feel like I'm sitting here a lot thinking about you, and I never want to bother you with it because what good would it do when you've got better things, important things, a lot on your plate, people who depend on you? I don't depend on you, but I think about you and I wonder what you're doing, and I care if you're okay, and I care if you're sad or angry at the world or wishing there was something you could do to make things better. But you do make things better, for me anyway. Just thinking about you makes things better, and that's why I never need to bother you with it. I just sit here thinking about you, smiling to myself and wondering if maybe it would help make things better for you if you knew. Two more and I'm going to wrap it up. This next one is called Blink. At all the events and community gatherings, I see them, the social butterflies flitting from person to person, landing on hands or shoulders, sometimes even cheeks. That is not me. I am more of a social firefly. If you work hard enough and somehow manage to catch me, perhaps I will delight you by shining briefly before I raise my wings and go dark again, disappearing into the night. My radiance lingers only for those willing to take up the chase. All right, I'm going to read the one that when I wrote it, I said, I will never read this one in public. And now it's like a fan favorite. And many of you will recognize it and know it well. It is called Sock Drawer. I never believed that anyone could want me, never imagined why anyone would. So when she said she thought that maybe she loved me, I cocked my head curiously at her. And I told her that I didn't know what that meant or what I was supposed to do, but that I was willing to try. I didn't really believe her, even when she kissed me blindsided on my grandmother's couch, dry mouths like awkward worms wriggling against one another in parched dirt. The attempts continued, but even when the kisses improved, still I didn't believe her. Then came the carte blanche, the day she told me, I think I'd let you do anything to me at this point. Again, I cocked my head curiously at her and I replied, do you mean to say that I could come to your house and root around in your sock drawer and you wouldn't mind? And that is where 25 years of communication difficulties began.
Was that your last one, Darrell? Was it?
That was.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was a great closer. And I think there's a lot of people in this room who feel a lot of resonance with that final line.
Thank you, Darrell.
Communication.
And we're happy to have you here. Thank you.
We had KR commenting as you. We get KR loved that one the most. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good way to go. So, all right, we have got two more readers to get through here, and it is my honor, my privilege, my pleasure, my happiness to introduce the guy who's going to be the first author on Collapse Press. He even blushed a little bit there. I saw it, and it's really sweet when he blushes. And it's not an easy to make this man blush either. So let me just work through the bio real quick. Richard Loranger is a multi-genre writer, performer, musician, visual artist, and all-around squeaky wheel, currently residing in Oakland, California. He is the founder of Poet Tea, a monthly literary conversation group. Instead of a poetry reading, he invites only 2 other poets to join him for tea which I believe he then records or got into the habit of recording, or at least getting some writing out of. And it was like an anti-reading, it was more like instead of a huge social gathering, it's this little group of intimate poets from diverse backgrounds, really finding that common language. It's really a marvelous, marvelous experiment in poetry production. His recent book of poetry is titled Be About It, as in a songbird on a branch, Be About It, from Be About It Press. Haha, there's the wordplay. And that book was released during the pandemic. It is a fantastic book. And he has a new book coming soon, obviously from Collapse Press, entitled Unit of Agency. He's also the author of the books Sudden Windows, Poems for Teeth, The Orange Book, 10 chapbooks, and has worked in over 100 magazines and journals. Before COVID, he curated the reading series Babar in Exile. I gave him a little bit of help with that. And the Queer Talk and Reading series, #We. He is considering restarting Poetry and #We once we can all be safely in rooms together. And you can find more about his work and scandals at richardloranger.com. And I'm posting richardloranger.com in the screen so you can see it. I also want to point out that Richard's series, #We, is going to be making its Beast Crawl debut tomorrow. So make sure you check out the work, the incredible event that Richard has curated for tomorrow. And I'll find that Zoom link information and add that before I drop in the Zoom link for our next reading, which is Moondrop Productions. Also to say about Richard, in the fact that I love him and he is my good friend, and it's, to me, he is such a crucial part of the Bay Area literary scene. But I was introduced to him by Jennifer Blowdryer at the Stork Club one night, and from that, this wonderful friendship blossomed. And then weeks, months, maybe even a year or so later, Richard says, we met before Jennifer introduced us. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, we would, and then he jogged my memory to a version of Sparring with Beatnik Poets that was handed down from that producer. What was that guy's, Daniel
Yaryan?
Dan Yaryan had a family emergency, so he passed the duty of producing that particular reading onto one Mr. Jay DeSalvo. And it was Jay DeSalvo that I did originally first encounter Richard. And like so many writers before, Richard and Jay were clashing that night. And I was only like peripherally being like, wow, I'm glad I'm not having Jay's problems tonight. That guy's mad. And so the first time I saw Richard was with a scowl on his face as he stormed out of the Legionnaire Bar and Saloon. Back then it was known as Paradiso. Now we know it as the Legionnaire. But it was so funny. I was like embarrassing. It was almost like embarrassing to have Richard remind me of that first initial encounter. And I think a lot of people in the small press and in the indie press across the country have very similar stories to that. But Richard is also going to read for the Jay DeSalvo Memorial, because Jay and Richard wound up really developing a hell of a relationship after that. And that is really, to me, what the Spirit of the Beast is about. So I will shut the hell up now, and I will hand it over to the amazing Richard Loranger. Richard, take us into the night, my brother.
That was like TMI. Thank you. Thank you for the
I know.
Actually, that incident is in the poem I wrote to Jay about how angry he made me the first time I met him. And I never get angry if anybody knows me, except for, and it's scary. I'm going to shut up. I actually want to do my pieces. I'm honored to read for Collapse Press, and even more that they've chosen my manuscript for their first publication. I mean, yeah, and it's a collection of human struggle, protest culture, social justice, pissed off lefty poems is might be the best way to describe them. So I'm going to tease you with two from the upcoming book, and then I'm going to bow out. Okay, the first one was written several months into lockdown, sheltering by myself in my apartment. So that'll give you a sense of my state of mind in it. It's called The View from My Apartment. I look out my window at the sad world and realize that it's not sad at all. I am. People are, but the world is not. This is something that I learn every day and forget every day. It's all part of the story we tell ourselves over and over in our sleep. It's the story of how sadness fell in love with the world and what happened next. Of how all the trees lost their leaves one day and the world shrugged it off, while sadness spent all winter knitting them scarves. Of how we forget again and again because we aren't real. We are the dream, we fade. And who comes along and falls in love with the dream? And what happens next? There's 4 parts in this. I look at my screen and the pixels become needles that slash through my retinas with animate force. Inside my brain, they build a new colony of glass-like obelisks in a prismatic maze. I stagger through, daggered and sliced until I find a cold cement corner to rest in. I curl up there shivering until the disorientation settles and I become comfortable. Now I feel ready for anything. I climb the sleek razors out from the screen and look at the world that's always held danger and salvos and glee, even as primordial seas indifferently bash cliffs to clay. Or are they indifferent? Are they any different than the hawking legions stampeding their screams with fear of the flesh, sharpening them into blades? I look at the news and see capitalism eating itself from the inside, preparing to sacrifice humanity to save its cankered hide. The opening credits of Metropolis roll, and as the bunkered wealthy, gorged on ecstasy and brie, barter slaves' survival for their roast pork. Armies marched in our streets, shooting everyone for fun. I learned that there's no immunity to bullets. The song of power saws whirring everywhere melds in my dreams with crashing cars and the roar of whole cities on fire. I wake to find I haven't woken. I sleep hungry and waiting for the tanks to deliver old bread and momentary stimulus. After that, I lie back down in the dark, unsure whether my labored breathing is the result of panic or a virus the size of a fat politician sitting on my chest. I grab my phone, see it still has 17%, and wonder if I should reach out to someone. Instead, I look at the news. I look in the mirror and see the eyes I've always had. Same eyes, same size, maybe a little more blurry and bloodshot, but mine, whatever that means. I see my face, whatever that means. Maybe the face that others see and maybe not. Who can tell? I suspect that the mirror holds my face at every age, and that I see them all at once, unable to separate the stony edifice that the flower lady sees, or the one that the checkout guy sees, or all the infinite others. And I see my infinity beyond skin, the spaceless force that lives us all at once and endless as the duck's eye of eternity. Of course we are inside each other. Please don't be afraid. As rain falls and the roots drink, I rejoice from stem and leaf, for we are all wonder. We are all embraced. We are all of every age, into the grave, into the soil, into the flesh, into our ancestors sailing like samaras into the wind, into the solar stream. The view from my apartment. I have one other piece I'm going to read, also from Unit of Agency, hopefully out in October. We're trying, and this one maybe a little lighter. I don't know, called Earth Punk. Call me Earth Punk and step away if you don't. I'm not here for the fashion. I'm not here for the hair. I'm not here for the scene or the being seen. I'm here for the passion. I'm here for the song. I'm here for the truth and noise and anger and politics. I'm here for the dirt, for digging in dirt, for the politics of dirt. digging the loam, the must, the marrow, digging the mirror of the mind, the unkempt world, digging the space between molecules, the space between us, the lines and lack of lines, the borderless, the endless flow and interchange, the pulsing, skinless fallacy of I. I'm here for the digging. I'm here for the roots and air, the striving outward, the grappling. I'm here for the suck of wind, for the information of sun, for the finding of the dew. I'm here for the rain, for the sheer cleansing drench of rain, for the pounding, soaking rain that drums away difference, that drains away spite, that deionizes the sky and land, that deionizes us, turns friction into grass, melts conflict into luscious soil, feeds life. I'm here for the taste of it, the taste of earth in my cells, the scent of lightning, the hair-raising audacity of trees, the resoluteness of trees. Got conflict, got oppression, got strife, yes. Lie face down between old roots and take a deep draught. Then decide a course of action. The politics of Earth are no different than a human melee. Yes, we love each other. And yes, we fuck each other up. Always have and always will, just like moon, ocean, rock, leaf, ice, flame, rain, dust. But unlike our muddled monkey thoughts, the ideology of soil is relatively pure. Live and rot, become, transmit, transform. Sure, you can cage life, sell the air, pretend to own the sun, rip and tear and die, writhing in inexorable need. Or you can be the vine that twines and stays. Eat dirt, sister brothers. Drink sky, my friends. Wrap yourselves in lakes and stone. These are not commands. I'm earth punk. I don't command. I don't even ask. These are what you do every day. These are what you are. Dig. Thanks all. Hope that was okay. It'll be in the book.
Hope that was okay. That was fucking epic, Richard. Good job.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Absolutely.
I mean, burnt myself.
And we are looking forward to getting your book out. It is, as you know, it is almost there. And we are, we appreciate you being here tonight and reading. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you. Okay.
And remember, you can check him out at richardloranger.com. Really easy to find. I also,
Youssef.
yes, Youssef is up next. Although I did want to say that one thing that's important to remember about Richard is that he did tour with Lollapalooza in its early years. And that's, I'm sorry, did I give away too much information? I'm sorry, Richard. I'm just
It's fine. It's funny.
We do see what we do to Youssef, but I'll let Lynn start with that.
He's dropping all the TMI tonight. No, just kidding.
Yes, I am.
So, we're both, we're going to say a few things about Youssef because I'm going to read the bio, but I also wanted to point out real fast that Youssef and Paul were on the Badass Bookworm podcast, and the leg coming up after this, Moondrop Productions, that's Cassandra Dallett, and so that's her podcast, and it's just, if you could look it up, find it on YouTube, it just was a really cool kind of backstory about the Beast. And, it was kind of nice for some of us who have been, been there for Beast to kind of reminisce, and, those were good times. So, give that a listen. Okay. Youssef Alaoui is a Latino Arab. His family and heritage are an endless source of inspiration for his varied, dark, spiritual, and carnal writings. He has an MFA in poetics from New College of California. He is a quiet individual experiencing the swirling cosmos as it taps against his window in a house not far from the sea. And we'll put your website in the chat.
Thank you.
So
New College is where I met Paul. That's why I was pointing my finger. I was like, Paulie, yeah. 2001, man.
And it's never been the same. Your life has not been the same since, right?
Oh, I guess he changed my life forever, but I might have changed his as well. Sorry, Paul.
Well,
Yeah,
You're on a new road now, man.
yeah. So I remember the first. Yeah, I knew Youssef's name before I think he knew mine, or before he knew I was part of the program.
He was registration.
I worked in the
right.
registrar's office, so I saw all the incoming poetic students, and so when just magically, because I'd seen him read a piece and I commented on one of his poems, our first conversation was about how much we hated orgasms. It's a hell of a way to get to meet
You're not
somebody.
supposed to say that part, man.
How much you hate orgasm. The entire conversation, obviously, incredibly cynical and ironic the whole way. But that's how this bond began, was over that type of irreverence, satire, and a beautiful marriage was born that day. It's true.
We got married.
We got married, and we're
over a
still,
burrito.
and we're still
at El Buen Sabor
across the aisle. That's right. So
remember El Buen Sabor?
Oh my God, how could I ever forget? I still love that
burrito.
I still stop by there whenever I'm in that part of town. But we
beans?
got but Mr. Alaoui, it is your stage now. Take us into the night, if you would.
Oh, you're not going to delve into any more dirt?
No, I'm done.
Jabir the mage confide in me. Invite me to dinner. I, the inept money-laden chest of wisdom, chest of torture, grin at me and gesture, metal braid of sun-tinted calcination, might have come from anywhere, even the devil's den. I must have it, and there it dances about the arm of you, moving bauble crystallization. You are no good for it. In this cauldron, torch-lit, pillow dungeon, animal, smoke skins hang low under tent poles where winds of desert sing and pass. Walls flat behind in time serve up the saucy meat solution, dressed in fruit and seed. Hands spank drums, coin, shirt, jingle, lunge at me, but I'll have none of that for my eyes, forever fixed on that amulet you lip about, the tiny scroll hidden within, talisman forged in philosopher, oven poked but one flame, eye-casting clear beam between you and me, sublimation. There's only the matter of exchange, a few dirham. Really must be mine, and I'll have it. Reduction recipe of liquid stone, transcendent guide, it will be mine, and I flee like a madman. Flame spears outrun me, buzz my ear as I tread deeper into the dunes on my horse of gold. Stars roll off my cloak. My team waits in the night. I am God's own dead jerk, pilfering others from mistakes left to us by the Magi. Yet you win at last in name. For to you they attribute books you would have never writ, even after you die. I had many things to share, a few more to hide. Wish the crystal sky would move for you, unknowing the self under sheets of munition, internal fear, dropping fire. Now we knew we could die. Although love sings to champion, my mind repels you, as does my name. These nights of clumsy stars are no longer our own. The lost ship curtains couldn't hide a skinny moon. Fall into the street. Mountains of roses, deep clay marriage. It was a lot uglier in real life as the sun came up all dirty with muscles, spreading a low shadow over the tunnel. Fragile blue light stole the last of me, and we crouched, day floaters each of us. Then blood spilled out across the air when it broke. The earth shed its lizard skin from where we stood. River, you've spent too many days depressed in the basement of a cruel soil under trees that deceive you. There was a stain in that house, a justice tower so square and tall, so easy to topple, a mark in the skin that never cleared. I kept washing. I felt so cold by the smoke chair, now a crumbled mess. I'm dying, you said. Hair, Stuck to broken glass, whose fault was it? I filled the pipes of that building with envy or guilt. We left, we cried, show me again the hurt spot. We snuck into evening again, so many coffins opening. Once here was breath and bushes of flowers, now all under water and grass. Thank God the concrete ghosts returned. A few globe lamps dangling. We were the damned from the start. Every bomb meant to deceive us. God was hurt by this and doesn't care anymore. And first she says, guess at the dead, see their wasted hope, their lines of human beauty sunken. Transgressors unified at the wall someone else made to keep us out. But they made perception illusory and cut my body in half. Guts slid over the balcony where ghosts wouldn't quit. We finally died there, you and I, as the smoke plumes carried us away. This is for Kenosha. I am Ion, priest of the market corner. A man was crippled by the royal guard as I watched him climb peacefully into his wagon, leaving the house of his children. In response, people washed through my area for days, without cease chanting, holding signs. Crowds so great I dared not count. Fury was the only reality, yet the court refused to accommodate, so the voice of the crowd thickened and became a solid stone in the middle of the street, growing quickly to vast proportions, a stone of compassion. The guard came back in formation, dressed in black robes, faces hidden, hurling fire and pellets to break the flesh and will of the people. But the will of the people is never to be trifled with, because the people are all of us. So they took everyone to task randomly, using all their training to administer justice as pain and anguish. And that's how I met my vaulted destroyer. I was removed from the corner, a witness of outrage, to victim of transmutation, from priest of the market to etheric spirit. The guard shaped my person with a baton first to soften the clay. A gas cloud brought me tears by the cup, and they gave me coins to cover my eyes, just guidance at the edge of a sword. They dismembered my body, removing the bones, stacked the pieces, set them on fire, mixed the ashes of my flesh with those of my bones, and distilled them in an alembic. And now I have become purified spirit. Glowing gold, I burst the glass of my attackers and leaped to the sky to share my knowledge with new light seekers. I got one last. I don't know how I'm doing on time. What's up, time?
Quick one.
Like a blotted. This one is for this. Do you guys know the Oakland Hills Wildcat Canyon Road? You guys know that? Wildcat Canyon. You guys, if you've ever been up there into the Berkeley.
Some of us, not all of us.
Okay. Like a blotted circle in a crusty ashtray, the moon is out and we drive to chase it. Across the bridge and into the night, roll down the window, I need to puke. I leave pink racing stripes down the side of your ripped up four-door. These drugs set my teeth on edge. I can hardly feel them. Your radio sucks. Like always, can we listen to that old station from the 40s? Not top 40. You say the 40s gives you the creeps. All white says no going back there, man. No, I say, but the times we know better. But we don't. No, you say we don't know any better than we did. And when I say we, I do not mean we, but I mean our country. 'Tis of them, not thee or me. It's their memory. Even in the days of memory, they were remembering other memories. You speed up the curvy mountain road toward the clouds, and now I just wish it would rain like it did when we were young, when that storm asked to come in all night, but I was too afraid to answer. So alone after they cut my arm on the way home from school, and you swerved to avoid a deer with your headlights off. stop the car, stop the car. I'd say, but you keep going and the mountain will never end. So I'm going to build a fort back here and light a candle for me to stare at, then close my eyes and hope my brain stops spinning as my breaths become lives. And I become one with the speeding car in the night, and through me these breaths pass, and you aren't looking for the end of that crazy road wandering up into the sky, the deep of the dark, not at all. And I give up wanting. I think of the lives I am breathing in and out of my fort of coats and dead bags, taking account of the lungs this air has passed through in a day, and I feel a state of grace swell within me, releasing all artificial guilt so meaningless. And at last you park the car by tugging the e-brake, cranking the wheel hard left. We slide in a spiral. I'm thrown against the door, losing more of that takeout dinner when I realize your friends and family will leave you one by one until finally you die. You know that, right?
Ooh, everybody unmute yourselves and give Youssef Alaoui a big hand. Unmute yourselves, give Darrell Parry a big hand. Unmute yourselves, give Richard Loranger a big hand. Unmute yourselves, give Steve Goldberg a big hand.
Awesome jobs, man.
Give Karen Lillis a big hand. Thank you so much. Very quickly, we are at the end. I thank everybody for what a great crowd. Also, everybody, give Twos a big hand. Yes, wonderful, wonderful opening music. We are ending this quickly. We are moving on to Moondrop Productions. That's our next leg. It's beginning any minute now. I'll quick. And come on now. Don't go. There is the link to the Moondrop Productions coming up. So it'll be about a minute or two while we jump over there and get that one ready. And we'll start. We're going to let the hosts into the room first, and then we're going to let the people into the room. And that's all just going to be in the next few minutes. But from Collapse Press, from Elin Alexander, my co-producer, my conspirator, my fellow conspirator, thank you so much. And thank you for your support of the Beast Crawl tonight. We'll see you in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.